Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. It's going to be a fun night. Please take your seats if you are signed in. If you've not signed in, please go ahead and do so. My name is Christian De Quevedo. I am the chair of the Kāhala Waiʻalae Neighborhood Board. I am joined by these fine folks over here to my right-hand side, other members of the neighborhood board who we eagerly await to hear from each and every single one of you this evening. However, let's get started. I would like to first express that I'm disappointed that I'm the only one who dressed up this evening. Y'all are looking a little shabby, so we need to pick things up in the next meeting. I will go into this in a few minutes, so I apologize for the state of my dress. Let's jump in first. Honolulu Fire Department. Do we have a representative from the Honolulu Fire Department here and present this evening?
I am here.
And who do we have with us?
This is Captain Ouna from the Kaimakea Fire Station.
Aloha, Captain. Thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Thank you. I have the incident statistics for October 2025. Fires, we had structure, 0. Wildland brush, 0. Nuisance, 0. Cooking, 0. And activated alarms, 2. For emergencies, we had medical, 38. Motor vehicle collision with pedestrians, 0. Motor vehicle collisions, 3. Mountain rescues, 0. Ocean rescues, 1. And hazardous material incidents were 0. I also have the fire safety tip for this month. This month it's about cooking safety. Food has a unique way of bringing family and friends together, especially during the holidays. And cooking can be a relaxing activity. However, it is important to be aware that cooking fires are the leading cause of home fires and home injuries. By following a few safety tips, you can prevent these dangerous situations. Stay alert while cooking. If you are sleepy or have consumed alcohol, avoid using the stove or stovetop. Always stay in the kitchen while cooking. Never leave the stove and heated appliances unattended. Use a timer to remind yourself to check on your food regularly. Keep combustible items like oven mitts, wooden utensils, food packaging, and towels away from your stovetop. And finally, keep children and pets at least 3 feet away from all cooking areas. And that's it for the Honolulu Fire Department.
Marvelous. Thank you so much for those tips, Captain. Greatly appreciate it. Does anybody on the neighborhood board have any questions from the gentleman from the Honolulu Fire Department? Does anybody in the community have any questions for the gentleman from the Honolulu Fire Department? Captain, we thank you so much for your time this evening. You have a great one.
Thanks, Christian.
Up next, Honolulu Police Department. Do we have a representative from the Honolulu Police Department? Going once. Going twice. Up next, Board of Water Supply. Do we have a representative from the Board of Water Supply? Lorna, are you here this evening?
Yes, I'm here. Can you folks hear me okay?
Absolutely.
Hi, good evening. Quick announcements as usual. This last month we did have one main break. That was on the 2nd of October on the Alailoa Place. The announcement I have this month is for main break updates. So when a main break happens, the Board of Water Supply works quickly to reduce the impact to customers, to protect public safety and restore service. For the latest updates on our main breaks, which are generally 4 inches or larger, information on the repairs are made. You can visit our website at www.boardofwatersupply.com/main breaks. You can also stay informed on Facebook and Nextdoor. And for larger or more impactful main breaks, sign up for the HNL alerts. That is all I have for this month. Does anybody have any questions?
Does anybody on the neighborhood board have any questions for Lorna from the Board of Water Supply? Anybody in the community have any questions for Lorna from the Board of Water Supply? Lorna, thank you so much for your time this evening. It's always good to see
Thank you.
Oh, wait,
Great to see you guys
actually,
too.
sorry.
Yes.
Sorry.
Hold on one second.
had a
I have
question.
one question.
Sure.
I know we were presented with the project that's over by Waiʻalae Beach Park. How is that progress of that station going?
I am going to have to take that back. So you're referring to a water main project that was by the Waiʻalae Beach Park?
Correct.
That question. Okay. I am not familiar with that particular project. I can go back and get some information and bring it back to you folks next time we meet, if that's good.
Yeah, they're great. Thank you.
Okay.
And any
You're
other
welcome.
project that's any other major project that's in our neighborhood would be awesome.
Definitely.
Any updates on those would
Definitely.
be awesome.
Yes,
Thank you so
definitely
much.
will do. You're welcome.
Thank you so much, Lorna.
Okay.
Appreciate your
Thank
time here
you.
this evening.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
You as well. Forgot to write it down, but Casey Abe, are you here? Department of Transportation? Mr. Casey Abe.
Yes, I am. Let me share my screen here. Okay. Okay, can you see my screen? Okay, good evening, Chair Christian and members of the Waiʻalae-Kāhala Neighborhood Board. Casey Abe from the State DOT Highways. And last month's meeting, I mentioned about the trash along the fence line between the Waiʻalae Avenue off-ramp and the H1 freeway eastbound lanes. During my field inspection on Tuesday, I noticed our maintenance crew cleaned up most of the trash. At September 18th neighborhood meeting, I mentioned the graffiti artists were still out there. During my field investigation on Tuesday, I was happy to see our maintenance crew painting over the graffiti and found out they did the work on Saturday night after last month's neighborhood board meeting. Our maintenance crew is still doing their best on trying to keep up with the graffiti artists. But during my field investigation on Tuesday, I noticed there was a graffiti artist known as 24K who had left his call sign on the H1 freeway eastbound. I will work with our maintenance crew on adjusting the new artwork. And finally, at last month's meeting, there was a concern about potholes at the intersection of Waiʻalae Avenue and Kilauea Avenue. Working with our maintenance crew, we managed to patch the potholes that were big enough where our new pothole patch sheeting could make a difference, especially along the Waiʻalae Avenue westbound off-ramp. As I mentioned at a previous meeting, Waiʻalae Avenue is scheduled for resurfacing in 2028. So in the interim, we will continue to work with the board on addressing future potholes. This concludes my report. I can take any questions at this time.
For those of you unfamiliar with Casey Abe, he is one of the hardest working civil servants that we have in government. He is a blessing, he is a privilege, and we should be so lucky to have him helping us out. Does anybody on the neighborhood board have any questions for Mr. Casey Abe from the Department of Transportation?
I have a question, Christian.
Please.
Casey, thank you for always giving such wonderful presentations and with everything you have. I guess I have concerns with that Waiʻalae strip. You know, now that we have all that construction with the pier, you know,
Yeah, seismic retrofit
strengthening. Yeah, I mean, there's clearly, you know, a lot of patchwork that's gonna be done throughout that whole area, and you know, the construction material and whatnot going into that area always creates additional potholes. And 2028 seems like a long time away. I mean, is there anything we can do to kind of, you know, encourage that to happen a little sooner, especially since the, you know, some substantial damage is going to be happening here with all this improvements of the structure?
I guess, you know, what you can do, and this is where your state representatives, the senator and state representatives come into play because they help us form our annual budget. And if they reach out to our deputy director for highways, Mr. Robin Shishido, and ask him if we could, you know, move up the resurfacing project, that might help because that's where the state senators and the representative does have an effect on our appointed position officials.
Does anybody else on the board have any questions for Mr. Casey Abe? Does anybody in the community have any questions for Mr. Casey Abe? Please speak into the microphone.
I'm not sure if Mr. Abe is the correct person, but I noticed in our neighborhood recently, there were a bunch of boxes put out. They looked like they were counting the number of cars and the speed of the cars on the roads, and wondering if Mr. Abe, if there's a way to see the results of those and where would we get those? And I don't know if Mr. Abe is the right person for that.
Do you know where those boxes are located? Because we do have our technicians go out and put those boxes with the black tubing across the road to count cars, but we only do that on state highways. The county also do that too. So
They were, I live on Kealaolu, and so they were there. I saw them on Kilauea, on Kahala. They were all over our neighborhood.
Yep. So
Okay, so-
Casey's jurisdiction runs for the highway itself, and then for the underpass. So anything associated with that area right there along
Okay.
that strip, that's him. Outside of that, that would be city and county.
Yeah.
Okay. So where would we find those results?
I
Or
would-
would they
Um,
share those results?
You can talk to the city's mayor's representative. Fortunately, you folks have Deputy Director John Nowuchi, who is the Deputy Director for the Department of Transportation Services, which is our counterpart at the city. So he works
Thank you.
closely with them.
He will be coming up in just one or two representatives. So we'll jump right back into that. Does anybody else in the community have any questions for Mr. Casey Abe from the Department of Transportation? Casey, it is an honor. It is a privilege. We love you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Up next, filling of the vacancies. We have vacancies? Which district? All right, we have one vacancy for sub-district 1. As said before, the pay is incredible. The dental is excellent. It is a pleasure. It is an honor to serve and be served. Bribes, added benefit, but we'll take them all. Go ahead and let us know if you are interested. Is there anybody interested here? Sub-district 1, what district is that? What is the boundaries of that? Oh, yeah. If there's any community members here from the Kahala Nui area who are interested in joining the board, please step up, serve your community, help make a difference. Going once, going twice. On next. Up next, reports of members' attendances at other meetings. Mr. Lee.
Yes, Peter and I attended the meeting between the Shangri-La and its residents on November 7th. One thing I noticed is a big turnout, so it's definitely a neighborhood concern. Both sides did presentations, much like what they did here in the previous meeting, but with a little more detail, a little more clarity. One of the concerns that was discussed, that was cleared, was the usage of major and minor CUP. And I think everybody, agreed that the change to the CUP is major. The minor part is a technical term that permitting uses, and, that's their business, but everybody realized that, there's major changes to the CUP. Most of the neighbors expressed support for the Shangri-La mission, which is good. But the major conclusion was that Shangri-La was willing to change the CUP, and they were going to meet. And I believe they're going to meet this week and present it to us.
Excellent. Well, thank you for letting us know your attendance in another meeting. We know a lot of you are here for Doris Duke, for the Shangri-La grand finale showdown at the Thunderdome. However, we're going to hold that off until its proper moment. Anybody who wishes to speak, be heard, have something to say on that, I'm going to ask you to wait until that moment. I know that there's a lot of emotions about that. Everybody will be given 3 minutes. Everybody will have an opportunity to speak. Everybody will be heard. However, I ask that everybody is civil this evening. Everybody interacts kindly, or you will be asked to leave. Up next, the governor's representative. Miss Patty Jetty, are you here this evening?
Aloha, I am here. Can you hear me?
Aloha. We can indeed. How are you this evening?
I'm fine, thank you, Chair. I hope everyone's well on your end as well. And I didn't have any issues to bring back to report to you today. I'm going to post the governor's newsletter in the chat, and I'm here to take any questions that I can back to the governor's office for all of you.
Does anybody on the neighborhood board have any questions for the governor's representative?
Christian, thank you. I have a question. Patty, I've been noticing a lot of helicopters flying over our neighborhood in many late hours. I think even hearing helicopters over like 2 o'clock in the morning. flying pretty low. I know that the corridors are over the freeway, and that's allowed, which kind of encompasses basically our whole neighborhood. Yeah, so I mean, do you have any understanding what that was? It was several days in a row, a lot of helicopters flying back and forth, at least one an hour, for several days in a row, maybe about a week ago.
Well, so I don't officially know definitively what that was, but it wasn't state. I believe what that was the military was having a larger operation. And so those helicopters were flying over during an exercise, like a particular set of exercises. And so I can't speak for the U.S. military. I'm not really sure why the option was to fly that low, that late at night, but I heard them as well. So I understand your concern on that.
Does anybody else on the neighborhood board have any questions for Ms. Patty Jetty? Does anybody in the community have any questions for the governor's representative? You, sir. Please speak into the microphone.
My name is Randy Port. I live on Pupanini Avenue. And for Patty Jenny, ma'am, at the last meeting on the 16 October, you talked about the Department of Education Facilities Maintenance Branch that is supposedly working on the issue of the 6.5 acre DOE lot, in which we have a problem with the sidewalk maintaining its availability because of the lack of landscaping. And it's dangerous there, and the problem is that they're not maintaining the property. You read a statement from the DOE's Facilities Maintenance Branch, which included that site visits will be made in the next 2 weeks to set the contract scope, schedule, and details. And Hawaii DOE is working to secure green waste bins, green waste pickups, and relocate the shipping containers. That was on the 16th of October. It's not happening. In fact, this issue has been festering since June, actually before June, about something as simple as getting green waste containers. And they have been flummoxed apparently at the facilities branch on how to find the funding or the wherewithal to get these green waste containers. It's gotten to the point now where we spoke with the DOE's Office of Curriculum, and the Office of Curriculum, who, as a side note, has been receptive to the community asking them questions. We actually have problems with communications from the facilities branch, but on the building itself, the Office of Curriculum, bless their hearts, has been responsive when we have asked them questions. They finally have given up on the facilities branch, and they themselves are just pulling it out of their own budget right now to get the green waste containers because they realize the problem they have and the fact that it's the dangers and the harm that can come from having these sidewalks being covered up and the potential for people to fall and get hurt. And the site survey will not be done now until next year, apparently. So this is a longstanding problem, and it's being bumped down the road, bumped down the road, bumped down the road. And frankly, the neighborhood feels like we're just getting strung out on this thing, and it's unsatisfactory how this is being handled. Please understand, I'm not picking on you personally. We understand that on the 16th of October, when you read that statement, you were reading it from the DOE. So ma'am, please don't take it personally. But at this point, we don't believe anything that they say to us. They say, oh yeah, it's going to be January or February now for the site survey even here. And realistically, we have a safety issue here. One of these days, it's possible we have problems, and we have lots of photographs of this, people who walk into the street to go around the sidewalk when it gets covered up, dog walkers, pedestrians, and things like that. It's certainly possible that one of these days someone's going to get hit by a car. And then when that happens, then someone's going to finally think, oh gosh, maybe we should have done something. Let's not let that happen. Is there any way they can please put the pedal to the metal, get some expeditious actions? It's already been going on for months and months and months, but at least get facilities to truly take care of this and not keep bumping it down the road. There's a lot of concerns we have in the community there about getting strung out on this situation.
Thank you. I don't take that personally at all. I appreciate the feedback, and I appreciate knowing the update on the situation. And so I will go back to the DOE counterparts and bring this back to them and ask some questions and see if I can get an update for you.
Thank you, man. We really appreciate that. If you could give the update back to the chair here, that would be much appreciated, as we have been in contact with him and Representative Grandinetti and some of the other legislators. And so we'll keep them informed of any information you can give us on this. But this has just been festering for way too long and been bumped down the road. And again, you have a safety issue here. Someone's going to get hurt one of these days. Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you.
in coordination with what the gentleman was saying, I've also been in contact with Barry Francis. Him and his wife both live, Allison, live actually, is it next door to you? 2 doors down. And they have also been a huge proponent in getting this area cleaned up. They've been very active. They've gone above and beyond the call of duty to try and get the DOE to maintain its facility in a way that is expected from each and every single one of us property owners in this area. And I can understand the frustration and friction that is coming from the residents in that area. They've been more than patient. They've been more than pleasant. And I think what they're asking for is very fair. And so if there's any way that we can help make things move forward, whether it be a letter from the board, any sort of resources that can be moved around, please let us know. We're here to help, but we would like to see some action on this.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Does anybody else in the community have any questions for the governor's representative, Ms. Patty Jetty? Anybody online? Is that all right? Thank you so much, Ms. Jetty. It's a pleasure as always.
Okay, thank you all very much.
All right. Up next, Mayor's Representative John Nauchi. John, are you here?
Aloha, good evening, Chair. Hope everything is well with you and the board.
Thank you, sir. How are you this evening?
I'm doing okay. I got a lot of updates for you guys tonight, so I'm gonna just dive right into it. From the mayor's office, some of the highlights from the mayor's newsletter include my personal work. Skyline Segment 2 opened on October 16th, adding 5 miles and 4 new stations, including Pearl Harbor and the Daniel K. Inouye International Airport. There's also news in the newsletter about the city's early education center relocating as multi-years repairs begins for the municipal parking structure. You'll see that a lot of the Kiki are now at Mission Memorial Auditorium. Also in the newsletter, new sewer rates are going into effect January 1st, 2026. And the full newsletter can be found online at honolulu.gov/mayor/newsletter. Another thing that mayors, and actually for me, a point of personal pride, very happy about, the Royal Hawaiian Band is holding a free concert at the Blaisdell. That concert is called Kaliki Maka Ho'omau. That will be on Friday, November 28th at the Neil Blaisdell Concert Hall at 7 p.m. sharp. This is a non-ticketed event and is free and open to the public. We're very lucky to have the Royal Hawaiian Band play as our municipal band. The doors to the Blaisdell concert will open, the concert hall will open at 6 p.m. and seating is on a first come, first served basis. But that night, we will have a lineup of acclaimed Hawaii artists, including Grammy nominated 21-time Naohoku Hano Hano Award winner Henry Kapono, 2-time Grammy nominee and multiple Naohoku Hano Hano Award recipient Raiatea Helm, the Kamehameha School's Children's Chorus, and other special guests, including the Ohana Jazz Trio, Kumu Hinale Moana Wong Kalu, Kala'i Stern, Karen Keawe Hawaii, Malia Ka'ai, Star Kalahiki, and Kanani Oliveira. The city will also illuminate Thomas Square Park for concert goers to enjoy before and after the performance. And the Honolulu City Lights, that tradition begins the following evening, November 29th, with the traditional tree lighting ceremony at Honolulu Hale, followed by Public Workers Electric Light Parade down King Street. So a lot going on that weekend immediately following our Thanksgiving time. Mayor would also like to announce there is a new system for electronic press releases. I know a lot of times we talk about how if people don't do social media, how do they find out about things? And so Mayor wanted to make sure that people can sign up for all the press releases and all the information that comes out of the city. So City and County of Honolulu has updated our press release distribution system to make it easier for Oahu residents and members to sign up and receive important updates. Starting November 5th, subscribers can receive press releases in their inbox through the new system. So that's on a sign-up basis. You can go to honolulu.gov/mayor/newsletter-sign-up. I have 3 other updates for the board today in response to things brought up in previous meetings. First is actually something that came out of my department. resident Cam requested an increase in bus frequency for Route 1 in the morning and evening. When we took a look at the bus Route 1, which operates between Kalihi and Kahala, it operates every 7 to 10 minutes during the morning and afternoon peaks, and actually a lot of times through the day. And so we did an analysis of Route 1's ridership and loads, and at the time we did not find overloading conditions occurring on the Route 1, and therefore we likely will not be increasing the frequency at this time. However, as a matter of consistent service review, we will continue to monitor the bus routes, including Route 1, and we're going to target areas that need additional capacity or frequency to address changes in service demand, productivity, and resource allocation. We do have a carryover from the previous meeting. Apologies for that, also with my department. Two things on traffic signals. So Member Turbin raised concerns that the signal timing at Pueo and Kilauea is out of sync. So we sent a crew out to check that, and it's confirmed that the signal is in something called demand mode. So to me, that's the best scenario, especially when you get to later times in the day, which means the signal will remain green for Kilauea until a pedestrian or vehicle needs to cross, and that's what triggers it to change. So DTS did check the signal timing, and it is set correctly. But if Member Turbin or anybody else has further concerns about traffic signals and timing, please call us at DTS directly at 808-768-8388. And also related to traffic signals, a resident requested an installation of a traffic signal at Malia and Kilauea to help Wilson Elementary School's students and families cross safely. So that might explain the counts that we're taking on Kilauea near Malia and along the corridor to assist in our traffic signal study to see if a signal is warranted there. We do have to follow federal warrants set for in terms of demand for crossings before we can install a traffic signal. So once those studies are concluded, we will inform the neighborhood board once that has been completed. And I think they spent a lot of time in the neighborhood, so we should have something that pertains back to the parking restriction on Kilauea Avenue in that very same hotspot right there. So that concludes my official report for things that I have to the neighborhood board, but I will stand by for any questions or any other items that the board or attendees may have tonight. Thank you.
Marvelous, John. As always, very thorough. Thank you so much. Does anybody on the neighborhood board have any questions for the gentleman from the mayor's office? Mr.
Can I have a question?
John,
Oh.
I guess you can hear me. Yeah, I just don't understand the findings on that Kilauea and Pueo intersection, because for years it has been operating very well, because you have cars approaching either direction on Pueo, and they get to Kilauea, and and then we'll see that the traffic signal there will start counting down from 2019, down 20 seconds, and then voila, it would turn green, and all the cars on Pueo could go through Kilauea, including the buses, because that's the major route, Mauka Makai in Kahala, down to Kahala Avenue from Waiʻalae. Now, several months ago, that just stopped happening. And I would count out, I would time it, it would be 40 seconds to a minute before the traffic signal would start counting down from 20 to 0, and then it would change. And the buses would get backed up. So I really, there seems to be, a kind of a reality world, misconception between what we, the residents, are experiencing versus what your traffic people are saying. There's clearly a difference. And now a lot of cars are making the right on Kilauea and going up to Waiʻalae or going to Pauoa, just to avoid, waiting for a minute or two for the light to change. So there's something missing here. Something weird is missing, and I'm very sorry, but I just don't believe what the what the traffic signal regulators are saying. And there's one other problem there I want to bring up with you, and that is every night there's a huge tour bus that is parked at that intersection in front of Waiʻalae Park, where Kahala School is. And it's been parked there. It's one of the largest tour buses I ever saw, but it's obviously violating, the traffic rules. I mean, it needs to be ticketed, towed away, or something or other. There's some tour bus entrepreneur that has just decided to use that intersection to park their very, very huge tour bus. So I'd like to have that checked out too. Anyway, that's my observation. Thank you, John, for reporting back to us. But there's something amiss here on both those two problems at the intersection.
And I do encourage you, like I indicated, if you have very specific concerns, you can call our traffic signals people at 768-8388, and perhaps you can, provide those details to them, and they can go out and take a second look.
Thank you.
Thank you for that, Rich. Colin?
John, thank you for the wonderful report you gave us. That was very informative. I think the crossing at Malia and Kilauea, the light over there was in request due to like this school time crossing, due to both the kids leaving the neighborhood, both crossing both Kilauea and Malia, as well as the cars that line up down Kilauea. It really does create a blind turn. People are then, to make that right turn from Kilauea onto Malia, have to go around the cars that are waiting to go to the school. So I think that's was the main concern of my understanding of the main concern from the residents complain about and ask for the intersection light. I think maybe, would there be other solutions that we could make the school have to queue up the cars? I mean, maybe down Malia, so it then has a natural wrap, so it's not, crossing the intersection directly, which creates that blind turns and forces people to, drive around lanes to make the turn to avoid being stuck in that standstill.
I would just say that, just from where I sit at DTS, every single school nowadays has that problem with elementary schools not designed for all the drop-off and pickups. I think a lot of these schools came into being when maybe we were in kinder and gentler and safer times, when the amount of car trips were not anticipated to be this much for schools. We have this spanning all the way from little schools like Helemano Elementary School in Whitmore Village out in Waihawa to the newest schools like Mililani Ike Elementary School in Mililani Mauka. And it basically comes down to the school has a very tight window for pickup, and all the cars converge on that. And there's not really anything that we can do except ask the school for help in terms of instructing the parents or even the kupuna or whoever's doing the pickups to just have a little bit better awareness on. And we've had a lot of issues with, whole streets getting blocked up in smaller neighborhoods. So I can definitely sympathize with what happens here at Wilson Elementary. But, in terms of safety, we can look at other things in our toolkit that might enhance that. But in terms of enforcement or these types of really sharp peaks and of demand in the neighborhood, it's really hard for us to regulate. And fundamentally, it's not illegal, so it's not something that HPD can assist with. But I do appreciate you asking if there's anything else we can do to help make that better on DTS's behalf, or maybe concurrently with neighborhood board. We can perhaps work on a reso requesting assistance, asking that of the Wilson Elementary School to message to those picking up and dropping off at the school, to practice enhanced safety, or to perhaps advise the people who are coming to the school to either approach from the other way or seek other methods to drop off or pick up there.
Thank you. Yeah, I think it just queuing up down Malia would really help a lot. But thank you very much.
Is there any way that we could request that the school be put up for budgetary requests to redesign the entry exit way so that way there could be a more efficient way for the kids to get picked up and a safer way for the kids to get picked up?
Chair, is that for me?
Yes, sir.
I would have to check. I mean, that is a stateside thing, so I would refer that to DOE, but a little aloha sometimes goes a long way. And a lot of times, we, like I say, we go through this in almost every single neighborhood on the island. And a lot of times all it takes is maybe a letter from the neighborhood board to just say that this problem exists and we'd like to know if you could be assisted with it. And if you want to link arms with DTS on that, we'd be happy to do so.
Miss Patty Jetty, I'd like to direct the question to you then.
Hi, so that's something, again, I'll have to bring back to my counterparts at DOE and see if there's a way that we can ask them to, redesign. So you're asking them to redesign the entry and exit.
If it's feasible, if it makes sense.
For cars. Okay.
Just because the population is only going to ever get bigger, these problems are only ever going to get worse. I'm sure a letter would provide a temporary relief, but we're looking at long-term here. So if there's any way that we can come up with a long-term solution, even factoring in population growth over the next 50-year period, that'd be nice.
And could you just repeat to me which street we're trying to alleviate a lot of the traffic issues?
It's for the Wilson Elementary queue line for the after-school pickup. That it typically queues past Waiʻalae, all the way down, like past like 7-Eleven sometimes, or 7-Eleven. So it's pretty substantial queue. It's kind of interesting when it gets down that way because people are kind of, I think, becomes more hazardous, especially to the kids that are leaving the school because people then get aggressive to try to overtake these random queue lines that are like reaching past to the mall basically from Wilson Elementary. So it's really, I understand why people get aggressively drive, and it's just understanding how that we could queue up better or anything, because I think it's just like John Nuichi said, it's really just like a half an hour window, maybe an hour window, because some people do queue up pretty early. It's kind of crazy. But yeah.
And does this happen during drop-off time too?
It happens in drop-off, but it's really the after hours because people end up queuing up early, right? So I think like the Kapun end up coming half an hour early, and they start queuing up. So like up until there's a half an hour window before school gets out and a half an hour window after school gets out is like, so it's basically an hour on either side of Wilson Elementary's, school ended.
Okay. Thank you.
Chair, if I might, I just want to offer in, we talked about things in our toolkit, right? The neighborhood there, it is a pretty, you guys have sidewalks, you have a lot of good amenities there. And what we have done at other schools near to this district is we've helped the school set up something called a walking school bus. And I think there's a lot of cool things that happen there. We did that at Leahi, on Leahi Avenue, near Waikiki Elementary School. So some parent volunteers get together with the keiki, and then they meet, at a common safe spot, and then they all walk together to school in the morning. So it's a walking school bus. So it's like a school bus that comes at a certain time, and then they all get to school. And just from administrators in the school, we just hear that that little 5-minute walk or that 10-minute walk, it does kind of get the kids more mentally awake and alert. And by the time they get to school, they're kind of better ready to go. So those are things that we can work on through DTS's Safe Routes to School program and other things like that. So there are definitely engineering things we can do, but there are also, very social things that we can help with that have proven results in other communities. So we'd be happy to work with this community on this.
Sounds like an excellent idea, John. A win-win-win all the way around. Resolution to write a letter of support for a walking school bus.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The ayes have it. John, we will write you a letter of support to get Wilson Elementary to start undertaking this social engineering, so that way the kids perform better in school, are safer, and hopefully lessen the amount of traffic in the area. Thank you for that idea.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you.
Does anybody else on the neighborhood board have anything that they'd like to discuss with John Nauchi, mayor's rep? Before we jump into the concerned community, John, when the mayor ran for re-election or election, part of his campaign was dealing with the homeless issue. I myself am sitting here covered in dirt and smell like a barnyard. And part of the reason for that is two of my companies, we donate a massive amount of time and resources and money into the Ocean View Cemetery located at 4120 Waiʻalae Avenue. We provide cleanup services, we provide grass cutting services, landscaping across the board, and we have been really helping to clean up the area and provide a nice, hopeful view plane for the entire community. And we hope that the community appreciates the work that we do. This evening, my crews were at work, and we noticed after several hours of work that a homeless encampment had been set up in the middle of the cemetery. I called the cops. The cops showed up. The people took off, and they left 2 dogs. And then one of those dogs attacked me. And then I had to deal with the police all evening, and that is why I'm dressed like this, sitting here, smelling like God knows what, instead of freshly showered, shaved, and looking my best 10 out of 10. We have been dealing with this homeless issue repeatedly for a period of time now. There are, I think, Honolulu, Y News Now, and a couple other news stations recently wrote about some of the drainage easements. I know Aloha McGuffey has also been in communication with them as well. And I know that this isn't just a one agency thing, a one district thing, but again, I am requesting kindly that we engage in communication across government branches so that we can start having more effective relief with this type of situation. We are, I'd like to think that the Waiʻalae-Kāhala area is one of the most beautiful communities on island. I think that we are all very fortunate to live here. And I think we also deserve to have the peace and quiet of just being able to walk around our community, engage, and not be accosted and all the other things that come with this. So I'm again reiterating my desire to seek resolution on this.
Very duly noted. I will actually see the best way to do a cross-department collaboration on this. Probably we'll start with Roy Miyahira, who does work with our unhoused population island-wide, and just so that he knows that this is an area, I know you've talked about it before, that might be a hot spot. And, if people are coming out to volunteer their time, I think we can give it some attention.
Volunteer?
No, I'm saying if you're spending the time to come out and volunteer, we can definitely make sure that to the extent that we can, that we can do whatever we can to cast some light on it and make sure that the area is safe.
I appreciate that. Thank you. And that was Roy Miyahira?
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Does anybody in the community have any questions for Mr. John Nauchi? Please introduce yourself into the microphone, most patient man.
Yeah. Hi, my name is Gordon Frobe. I live on Kealaolu, between Farmers and Moho, and was asking about the data for all the boxes that were just put out on Kealaolu to see, the usage of cars and the speed that they travel up and down that road. And I'm here because the cars, the speed limit's 25 miles an hour on Kealolu, and frequently cars are traveling well in excess of that speed and creating a real hazard for the people that live there, as well as there's a huge number of people walking, running, and biking up and down that road. And so it's just an accident waiting to happen. And so would love to see that data. And I don't know if you have that data. And then the second thing is, would love to see a stop sign put in at Kealolu and Farmers at the corner there, because that would, hopefully stop people and, force them to drive the speed limit at a more reasonable pace.
So for your request, I just want to maybe put this out to this board. This is generally what I prescribe to, our elected officials and other neighborhood boards. Thank you for identifying the problem of what you say is excessive speeding on Keala'olu. We can take a look at that, given the data we have, and we can look at studying that area for the speeding, and then come back to the board and provide some potential solutions. But I will say right up front, help us understand exactly where the speeding is. If it's the whole length, then we can study that too. But generally, let us come back to you and prescribe some solutions, because by engineering standards that are some of them are federally mandated, we can't always just put a stop sign. Stop signs generally aren't used for speed control, and oftentimes lead to more issues on certain streets. So the volumes coming out of Farmers Road would have to be equal to the volumes coming down Keala'olu, and we don't necessarily have. I'm pretty sure we don't have equal volumes at that T intersection. But the reason why I say that is not to shut down the idea right away, but I just don't want to, my department, if you ask for a stop sign there, and we're gonna immediately not be able to do it for federal warrants, and then we will say, we can't do it, then I feel like we've already failed you. So if we're talking about speeding, we will investigate the speeding and prescribe other things that we can do along that route.
Yeah. So, the Kealolu runs from the Aloha gas station on Waiʻalae all the way down to Kahala Avenue. So it borders the Waiʻalae Country Club. And, every Friday, Saturday night, there are mopeds going up and down 60, 70 miles an hour. And if you're not going to put in a stop sign, it'd be nice to see some policemen patrol that and maybe write some tickets for the speeding, because it would be nice to be some, enforcement for, these people breaking the law. And it's a real safety hazard, and you guys are, it's playing with fire before someone gets hurt on there.
Duly noted. We'll also request that of HPD.
And also, what about the data from your boxes? How do we see that?
I have to check on that. I'm not sure if that is generally publicly available, but I can get an answer back to you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is the representative from the HPD here yet? Honolulu Police Department? I'll make sure at the next meeting that they receive this request and we try and increase the police presence in that area. My pleasure. Does anybody else in the community have any questions for the mayor's representative, John Nouchi? John, thank you so much for your time this evening. As always, it is. Oh, hold on. Sorry, 1 second. Who is that?
Daylin.
Alan, please go right ahead.
Well, firstly, thank you very much for your, investigation into the Route 1 headways, but I guess I should have clarified last meeting. I was more interested in the late night hours, particularly past 6 p.m. to midnight, where it runs only once every 30 minutes. But my question to you, particularly related to the recent potential bus driver strike, as the workers union has not voted on a new contract from what I am aware. What is the state and particularly DTS prepared or able to do in the unlikely but unfortunate event that the bus drivers do authorize a strike?
Hi, Dalen. I have to be very clear. DTS is not a party to the labor negotiations between Oahu Transit Services, who are a private not-for-profit company who do operate the bus and manage the bus on behalf of the city. So they are a private employer that has a private workers union in the Teamsters. So I have to be very careful about providing any status updates. I do believe the union is holding meetings this week with their membership, and OTS has provided a last best and final offer to them. Um, I, like I said, the city is not party to any of those negotiations, so I can't really update you as to the tone or tenor or the likelihood of anything happening at this point. But I can say that the city is very concerned about the mobility of our residents, and we are looking at alternatives that we can execute in the event that in the hopeful event that there isn't a labor strike. But we are looking at things that we can do based on emergency authority in the event that labor action does happen.
Understood. Thank you very much.
Does anybody else have any questions for the mayor's representative, John Nauchi? John, thank you for your time. Appreciate you.
Hello, Chair.
Up next, live and in person, a rare honor and a treat. Ladies and gentlemen, Council Member Tommy Waters.
Hello, Chair, members. Good to see you all. Hello, everybody. This is a great turnout tonight. It's nice to see. I have a lot to talk about tonight, including the cost of living, affordable housing, the siting the new landfill, sewage fees, clean water, a gondola up Mount Ka'ala, and the SkyCap settlement, along with a lot of district concerns. But before I get into that, I just want to introduce my Chief of Staff, Kevin Imanaka. Kevin, can you just stand up and say hi? Kevin, like me, we both live in Kaimuki, but I grew up in Kahala on Kolohala Street, so I'm really familiar with the area, especially when you were talking about Ke'alaolu. Thank you. No, I agree that while I walked door to door during the campaign, I saw exactly what you're talking about. And I will work with John Nauchi to figure out what traffic calming measures we could do. And in the short term, Chair, I'll do exactly what you're doing and ask the police to get out there and start citing people. But typically what happens is once the police are there, it's good for about a week or two, and then they go back to speeding. I guess people are just in a hurry to get to the golf course or the tourists getting to the hotel, but we got to be vigilant about that. So starting with cost of living issues, as we all know, the cost of living in Hawaii is really, really expensive. The city and county generates revenue through your property taxes. And that's how we pay for ambulance, fire, police, and whatnot. But every year, it seems that our property taxes are going up. So myself and Val Okimoto introduced Bill 49 and 50. I'm happy to report that they both passed. The mayor signed them, increasing your homeowner's exemption. So it goes up for kupuna from 160,000 to 180,000. And for everyone else, it goes up from 140,000 to 160,000. So I want to make sure everybody does file their homeowner's exemption. I also want to just warn people that if you have a couple and only one of the spouses is on the homeowner's exemption, and for heaven forbid that person were to pass away, the property taxes will skyrocket because now you're considered a residential A. It happens every year. Every year, a widow or widower calls my office for help, and Budget and Fiscal Services is very, very strict. And they say too bad, which is terrible, but they're very strict about that. So I just want to encourage everyone that if one of your spouses or owners of the property is the only one on that homeowner's exemption, please have your partner, even a child can go on there because your property taxes will go up like triple if you don't do this. The other thing that I'm considering is actually getting rid of the residential A category. John Noguchi, you can tell that to Budget and Fiscal Services Director because I haven't told him this yet. But residential A means if you have a second home over $1 million, it's taxed at a different level. And now every home, even one small bus-up home like mine in Kamwaki, is priced at over $1 million. And even if you rent it out, you're still paying this really high tax rate. So, you know, we should consider possibly getting rid of that residential A. But in the meantime, please file your homeowner's exemption. Also, just so people know, there's this low income tax credit that if you make $80,000 or less, you can apply for a cap on your property taxes to 3% of your income. So that's a good thing to know. Affordable housing continues to be a pressing issue here in Hawaii. And I got 2 kids, right? And I think, how the heck are they going to afford to live here? So since I've been on the council, we've approved almost 10,000 units, affordable units. But as we all know, building these units take time, right? We can only build about 400 or 500 a year, right? Even though the city council is approving these, they're not getting built at a fast enough rate. So I came up with this idea about an empty homes tax. The University of Hawaii Research Office has determined that there's about 18,000 empty homes that are just sitting there. And if you can imagine, if we can get these rented out, right, we immediately make an impact. The Department of Business and Economic Development has determined that we're about 25,000 units short. So if we can convert at least a portion of these empty homes into rentals, then it's a good thing. Now, I got a lot of heat for introducing this because it turns out plenty of people have empty homes, right? And so I wrote in exemptions. If you got a beach house in Waialua, it doesn't apply to you. As long as you're a local resident and have a homeowner's exemption on your own home, you get one free empty home. If you're a caretaker, right? Some people taking care of their elderly parents and they have to live with them, so they leave their own home empty. Well, that won't apply to you. But the empty homes tax, you'd have to pay like 3 times as much as everybody else. But really what I'm trying to do is discourage the outside investor from the continent or a foreign country from coming here, buying a piece of property and just leaving it vacant. That's really the idea. Right now, I can only get 4 votes to pass the empty homes tax, but I'm not going to give up. Still going to fight for that. The landfill continues to be a big issue. Where are we going to put our garbage? Right? We all make garbage. I want to just encourage people to make less garbage, please, if at all possible. But we burn all of our garbage, and what we can't burn, we bury. But it's filling up. So where are we going to site the new landfill? You know, the Department of Environmental Services wanted to put it in Wailua over an aquifer. Bad idea, right? They said, we're going to put not 1, but 2 rubber linings. I'm like, 100 years from now, when the thing leaks and people are going to look back and say, whose idea was that? Bad idea, right? Ultimately, it comes down to it might have to stay exactly where it's at least for now, out in the Waimanalo Gulch. But that community has said, and I hear them, that they've been taking the brunt of taking all the garbage for the rest of the island. It used to be in Kailua when I was a kid. It's been on the Waianae Coast for a long time. But I'm thinking it's cheaper, instead of siting a new landfill somewhere else, why don't we give that community a little extra love, right? Let's fix their roads, fix their schools, you know, if they want a district park, do that, because it's going to be a lot cheaper than siting a new landfill. But we're not going to give up on that. Your sewage fees, as John mentioned, are going to go up. I voted no against that, by the way. I wanted to take the money that we save from vacant positions, because we have 3,000 vacant positions that the city council funds every year. Every department tells us that they're going to fill these vacant positions, but every year, for whatever reason, they go unfilled. I said, take some of that money, go put in the sewer fee fund, right? There's a special fund. It's not paid for out of your property taxes. You all pay it when you pay your water bill, this sewer fee. It's self-funded. We were told that we had to raise sewer fees in order to upgrade the Honouliuli sewer treatment plant. But that's why your bills are going up. I'm thinking we could find savings from the city, put it into the sewer fund to lower your bill, and I'm not going to give up on that. That too was a 5-4 vote that me along with 3 other council members voted no. I will tell you though, if you use 6,000 gallons or less, you'll see the smallest raise in your sewer bill. Most people use 9,000 gallons though. Look at your water bill when you go home and check it out. So just be mindful of that I'm not going to give up on this. I lost that vote, but I'm going to continue to fight to lower your sewage bill. Clean water, Red Hill. Did you guys watch what's on the front page of this morning's paper? But Ernie Lau came to the city council and reported that they're going to have to now bring filters to filter our drinking water because of the Navy's fuel spills. And they closed down the Ka'amilo well, which is way up from Red Hill. That means the pollution is moving, and it's moving. So one of the things that I did was I introduced the bill saying, hey, the Navy should be drilling us the wells to test where the testing wells to test where that is moving. And they should be paying for the filtration system at a very least, and they should be cleaning up their mess. And I'm not going to give up on this, and I'm trying to keep it in the forefront because if we don't, people are going to forget about it. But they already, as you know, closed the Halava shaft. The Halava shaft is the shaft that services all of us at East Honolulu. It's closed. You know why they keep it closed? Because if it's like a straw, and you're drinking out of a straw, the area around the straw is going to get sucked up. And once that fuel goes into the straw, you cannot clean the straw being those transmission lines that service all of us. I mean, it's a terrible, terrible thing. So we're going to keep fighting for that. A developer, apparently he's the grandson of the owner of Whistler in Canada, ski resort. They got gondolas. Anybody goes snowboarding and skiing, those gondolas are actually pretty cool. But they're not cool going up to Mount Ka'ala. So we had a huge hearing and let's see what the Department of Permitting and Planning is going to do. I think I made the legal case for the Department of Permitting and Planning as to why not to do that gondola. But that decision is supposed to come out in about 2 weeks. District concerns. By the way, you can stop me anytime. You give a politician a microphone, I'll stay here all night. But, SkyCap. You guys, did you see it on the news that the city the actual attorneys for the city want to settle this case where that the grandparents of the kid who was shot by a police officer and died, they want to settle the case because the grandparents are suing the city. Unfortunately, it came before the council that the city attorneys want to settle the case. I voted yes, and I want to explain my vote because it was a hard vote, and I didn't want to do it. Honestly, I didn't want to do it. And I think there's a possibility that the city would have won, just like in the Miami case a few months back. But what happened was the prosecutor, Steve Alm, charged the 2 police officers with murder. Murder carries mandatory life sentence. Mandatory life sentence, right? So these 2 police officers wouldn't be able to testify in the civil trial because if they did, anything they say can and will be used against them in a criminal case. Now, the prosecutor's office already tried twice to charge these officers, once before the grand jury, and the grand jury denied it. So the prosecutors said, okay, we can't get it from a grand jury, which is an independent jury made up of citizens just like yourself. The citizen said no. So the prosecutor, Steve Alm, went over and tried to get it from a judge. And the judge said no. So now, if he tried twice, who's to say he's not going to try a third time? So these police officers couldn't take the stand. They couldn't testify. And without them getting up there and saying why they did what they did, those kids, and they were kids, did an armed robbery in our district, right? A family, right, with guns. They robbed their home, did a high-speed chase. They found there was guns in the car, drugs in the car, right? But the other problem with the cases and why I had to vote up is that the SkyCap's attorney is calling Steve Alm as their star witness. It was like, oh, how are you going to win that kind of case when the prosecutor gets up and says, yeah, these guys commit murder? Tough one, tough one. Okay, I want to try to bring this back up from that heavy conversation to concerns of the community. Chair, and I'll just go real quick. Wilson Elementary. So I actually went to Wilson Elementary because a grandma was walking her grandchild to Wilson Elementary and almost got ran over. So I went down there and checked it out, and sure enough, the cars are queuing all the way from the entrance into Wilson down to, I guess that's Waiʻalae Avenue. And that turn on Malia Street is all queuing up. So there are two engineers. John, your engineers are awesome. There's two engineers that came down and joined me with the principal and the grandma. And we talked about solutions, right? So they're going to study it, come up with a couple solutions. One solution possibly is a traffic circle, right? I don't know if you guys remember though, the traffic circle on the other end of Malia, when you go up Waiʻalae was rejected. So I'm not sure the community is going to like a traffic circle on the other side of Malia. But certainly, the other thing is, if you're coming off of Malia and you want to make a left turn, you can't because those cars are all queuing. So what happens is the car coming out of Malia is inching out further and further. And then if somebody's coming down Kilauea towards Kahala Mall, they have to go around those cars. The whole thing is a mess. You're right. But I did go down there myself. I saw it for myself. We got two engineers who are working on a solution. Sometimes these things take time, so I'm asking for your patience. Helicopters continue to be a problem. They went right over my house. I live on Cocoa Head Avenue, and I could literally see the pilot. That's how close they were. The federal government, by the way, there was a meeting with the FAA a few days ago that me and my staff attended. They want to lower, actually, Peter, you know about this. There's a height limit of 1,500 feet, right? They want to lower it. The FAA wants to lower it. So I'm testifying against that. 1,500 feet isn't high enough in my mind. By the way, what they do is they come from the military base, come all the way to Diamond Head, turn left because they can't go over, I guess, urban Honolulu. Once they come over Diamond Head, then they come over to the windward side. So they're going right over Kahala, right over Kaimaki, right over my house. So I take that stuff personally. Shangri-La, I'm here to listen and learn. I know a lot of you are here. So I'm looking forward to that. The city council does not have a say in this. This is strictly from DPP, but I'm happy to take back what I hear tonight back to DPP as well. And I think that's it. Open for questions.
Beautiful. Thank you very much. Just to talk about that empty homes tax real quick, big fan of that. My company, we pull advertising data from a variety of different sources. It's incredible what advertisers know about you. 156 different data points on each and every single one of you. But what our data mines found was that the Kahala area, based on telephone and internet usage, only has a 36% occupancy rate. 36%. Based on utility poles and internet poles and cell phone usage. So an empty homes tax, Sounds like something that's very needed. So appreciate your push on that. Does anybody on the neighborhood board have any questions for Council Member Tommy Waters? Ms. Aloha.
Aloha.
Hello.
I don't know if you remember, but back in 2021, I think it was, you spoke via Zoom to our Kiska Hui. It was a Kahala initiative for sustainability, culture, and the arts Hui. And you mentioned at that time that you weren't certain why, but the Mauna Loa Bay community, including Waiʻalae-Kāhala, was governed by two different plans. The primary urban center plan, development plan, and the East Honolulu Sustainable Communities Plan. So I'd love to have your Mana'o when Colin Jiki and I propose tonight a new resolution to form a committee for the Waiʻalae-Kāhala Neighborhood Board to review those two plans and see how we can be more in the process of updating it when it comes about.
Okay, can I explain to everybody, you know, what the board members talking about? So there's a general plan that deals with the whole island. And the general plan says you have to guide future growth, right? So future growth, there's two plans, the urban core development plan, which runs from Kahala all the way to, I think, Mililani, and the EVA development plan. That's where the general plan says future growth should go. And then the rest of the communities have what you call sustainable community plans. And from Kahala down to Hawaii Kai is the East Honolulu Sustainable Communities Plan. And in the East Honolulu Sustainable Communities Plan, it's basically determined that we're maxed out and you can't build any more housing. Right? Remember in Hawaii Kai, there's a bunch of new houses being built. They even created the livable Hawaii Kai Hui to stop future development. But you can only build over the shopping center where Costco is. That's where the plan said the only place you can build. Anyway, so there's a push from this board and the community saying, hey, us in Kahala, we want to be part of the East Honolulu Sustainable Communities Plan. And I was pushing for that, and the Department of Permanent Planning got really mad at me because I said, okay, we got to change the general plan. We got to change the primary urban core plan, and we got to change the East Honolulu Sustainable Communities Plan. And then when we brought it up to Hawaii Kai and Kuli'o neighborhood boards, they kind of were upset and like, no, we don't want Kahala. So that's part of the problem. But so what I did do with the board's help and the board's urging in the East Honolulu, in the primary urban core plan, I put safeguards. So DPP wanted to allow buildings over Kahala Mall and buildings over by Saggio's. And I said, no, that doesn't fit with our community. We don't want that. Right? So I in the draft plan, they actually had really tall height limits, even along Waiʻalae Avenue. I'm like, no, keep it Kamaki. So I can share with you folks in more detail what exactly the primary urban core plan does with respect to Kahala and Kamaki and Kapahulu. I put in safeguards that I think you'll be happy with. But I'd look forward to working with you on that. I will tell you though, it's going to be really hard to change all three plans to take Kahala out of that.
No, I think all we're planning to do when we form the committee is just to review both plans.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
just to review both plans and see where we can make adjustments to the plan and offer suggestions when it comes time to update those processes. Because I think we already heard from your office, I think it was Adam that said, we can't go forward with moving the border of this district, but hey, let's work with it and let's see what we can do. And I believe you'll also hear from Livable Mauna Loa Hui, who I think Elizabeth might be coming on tonight to listen in on this resolution as well. So I'm sure she'll have something to say.
Awesome. Yeah, happy to work with you and update you.
Yeah,
And I
we'd
can
love
get
to.
you copies of the plans too.
That'd be great. And
Yeah.
I think if we could have one of your office members part of the committee, if it's approved, if the resolution is approved, I I think it would be great to have one of your people on the committee as well.
Terrific. And if I can make it, I'll be there too. Hey, Richard.
Yeah, yeah, Tommy, I mentioned it before to John Uchi, who's trying to help us out on that intersection of, Kilauea and Wayo. But maybe I think the sensors are off because they used to have sensors on that intersection. So where the buses and the cars came up Wayo, then that Kilauea light would change. But I think those sensors are not working anymore. Maybe somebody in your office can check on that because we're waiting a long time now on Wayo to get through Kilauea. And the other thing is, I mentioned that huge tour bus that's constantly parked all night at that intersection on the Kai Eva side of Wayo Street. Huge tour bus. Must be illegal. It's parked there every night.
Okay, I'll go check it out on my way home
Yeah, if you
tonight.
can check it out. Those two things. We would appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Does anybody else on the neighborhood board have any questions? Oh, Brian Wong.
Thanks, Chair. Chair Waters, thank you for joining us today. Brian Wong, Subdistrict 2. Just a quick question. I wanted to know if you had any update on the anticipated or in the background stormwater fee that was talked about several years ago but didn't pursue. I wanted to know if there's any update on that.
Yeah, thanks. And nice to see you again. Does everybody know what the stormwater fee is? So the Department of Facility Maintenance has said that our stormwater system is outdated. When we have all these drains that catch the rainwater and take it to the ocean, well, they're too small. So we have to start upgrading them. And they want to charge every one of you a small fee in order to upgrade the system. And it was introduced under the Caldwell administration, and I grabbed it and I put it in a drawer. And I said, we need to find more savings in our current budget to pay for this rather than taxing people even more. Because as I mentioned, the cost of living here is so high. And then when I asked questions, like my house is on stilts. So basically, if you have cement, you're charged for having a cement. So some people, they cement their whole yard and the water isn't able to seep through the ground and recharge our aquifers. So if you got cement in your yard, you pay more. It turns out all of us have to pay. Even at my house, I'm on, what do they call that? Period and post. I'm like, hey, I capture all the water from my place. Why I gotta pay, right? But I'm speaking for a lot of you who probably have the same situation, but no, you have to pay. So I said, you know what? I don't think people are ready for it. So it hasn't seen the light of day, Brian, in 3 years. It's gonna come up though. So the more we talk about this, because we do have to upgrade our sewers, not sewer system, but our stormwater system. Because in some places in Kamaki, when it rains, the drain fills up and starts to go into people's houses. In fact, I'm going probably tomorrow to go check out a gentleman's house on 11th Ave, that's exactly the problem. Yeah, but thanks for the question.
Thank you very much. Does anybody in the community have any questions for Councilmember Tommy Waters? Marvelous. Thank you so much. Appreciate you showing up here in person.
Thank you.
A rare honor and a treat to have a politician with us in person, live in the flesh.
But by the way, this is a nice venue and we finally fixed the lights. But we gotta get the Kahala neighborhood board back to Kahala. So I'll work on that.
The Culinary Center at KCC, we've been shooting for that, the new one. I'm thinking, a nice aperitif. We go with a nice wine pairing to end it off after a contentious back and forth.
I love that.
And a amuse-bouche to really settle the tummy.
Yeah. Okay, I'll work on it. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you
Good to
very
see
much.
you.
Appreciate that. All right. Up next, I apologize for the typo. Tina Grandinetti.
Hello, distinguished chair and board members. I will keep it quick because I know you got a lot more to talk about tonight. Let's see. District updates. I have been working with the folks at Pu'upanini on the DOE facility issue. If Patty is still on the call, I would love to be CC'd in any communications with facilities. I've sent a letter with a request for a site visit, a request for a status update a few weeks later. And, you know, I totally understand bureaucratic holdups and budget issues, resource issues, but at the very least, communication would be really helpful. Let's see what else. On the school traffic issue, Wilson is just out of my district, but Liho is going through the same problem, and I'm super stoked that John Noguchi mentioned the walking bus. I'm really inspired by that model. It's effective and it's also extremely cute. And for my office updates, I've been conducting site visits in advance of the 2026 legislative session. Went to the aquarium, to KCC. I got to visit the new Culinary Institute, as well as the School for the Deaf and Blind. Oh, that's just out. Those are not in our neighborhood board district. Sorry, thinking about broader District 20. Also working on our bill package. Focusing a lot on our housing crisis and strengthening protections for the 40% of households who rent. I'm also on the committee on consumer protection, so have some bills trying to tackle some of the rising costs of pharmaceuticals. I can go into more detail in our January neighborhood board meeting. And as the co-chair of the Working Families Caucus, we hosted 2 meetings with legislative members, as well as community advocates and partners. The first was on tax fairness strategies, because we know the very ultra wealthy are getting let off the hook at the federal level with $1 trillion tax break. And we really need to think through strategies to ensure that everyone's paying their fair share here to cover the holes that the federal budget cuts are going to leave in our state budget and also in our state systems of care. And then the second meeting was one where we had a presentation from folks who run a program called RX Kids, which provides direct cash assistance to expecting and new mothers to support children in their very critical development periods. And then the biggest and saddest news I have is that my office manager, Emily Cristobal, is going to be leaving. I know that the Pu'upanini community has come to know her pretty well. She is taking a position as a community planner at the Oahu Metropolitan Planning Organization. So she'll be working on really excited transportation related issues. And my new office manager will be Erin Enriquez. She'll be coming on board in mid-December. So I'll be sure to bring her to the neighborhood board so you can meet her in person. And that's all for me, and I'm available for questions.
Does anybody on the neighborhood board have any questions for Representative Tina Grandinetti? Does anybody in the community have any questions for Representative Tina Grandinetti? You, sir, in the blue.
For Representative Grandinetti, again, for those who may not know me, my name is Randy Ford. I live on Pu'upanini Avenue. And we just wanted to give a quick note of thanks to you for your help on this whole issue with the Department of Education. That just keeps going on. And so thank you very much for your efforts on that. It really is appreciated. And also, Christian, also for you too. We appreciate the 1-2 punch with both the representative and the neighborhood board on that issue. And Emily has been a great office manager contact for us too. And we do absolutely appreciate all the help we've gotten from her. And we look forward to working with your new office manager. So thank you.
Thanks, Randy.
Excellent. Politicians are flesh and blood. They can show up to places. They can do things. It's incredible. As Mr. Waters showed up this evening, Tina Grandinetti has been showing up for our community, going on to site visits, getting involved. We are lucky to have people such as this who actually care. So think about that during re-election time. The ones who show up are the good ones. In stark contrast is Representative Mark Hashem here this evening. Representative Marky Mark Hashem. Going once, going twice. Par for the course. Up next, Senator Stanley Chang. Are you here this evening? Representative of Senator Stanley Chang.
I'm sorry, the senator is not here, but hopefully I'll be a suitable replacement, I guess.
That's all right. Please introduce yourself to the group.
I'm one of his legislative aides. My name is Casey Shoji. I'll put our newsletter in the chat, and then please check it out. Yeah. And then there's a couple of highlights in it that I guess I'll go over. One is being there's going to be a Waikiki parade taking place on November 28th at 6:30. And also the Hawaii Holiday Parade is going to be held on November 29th from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. For statewide matters, Hawaii residents are now able to claim unclaimed life insurance benefits. And if you have any questions about that, you can reach out to the DCCA Insurance Division at 1-808-586-2790. And more information about both those things are in our newsletter, so please check them out. And I'm available for any questions or concerns and I can take it back to the senator.
Awesome. Nice to meet you, Casey. Appreciate you showing up here this evening on behalf of Senator Stanley Chang. Does anybody on the neighborhood board have any questions for Senator Stanley Chang? Does anybody in the community have any questions for Senator Stanley Chang? Casey, appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you. Take care. Good night.
Good night. Up next, resident community concerns. Just to be clear, the Shangri-La issue is at the end of the agenda. If anybody has to speak on the Shangri-La issue, it will not be heard here. It will be heard towards the end of the agenda. Do we have any community concerns that need to be heard this evening? Up next, board business. Approval of October 17th meeting minutes. Can I get an approval?
Yeah, I will. I don't have any complaints with it. I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion? Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Up next, alternative venues for future board meetings. KCC Culinary School. Anybody else have any other ideas? Marvelous. On to the next thing. Resolution for an establishment of the Waiʻalae-Kāhala Neighborhood Board's Community Advisory Committee to review the primary urban center development plan and East Honolulu Sustainable Communities Plan and recommend community priorities using Ahupua'a resource management principles. Ms. Aloha McGuffey, I believe you have something to say on this matter.
Yes, thank you. So as I mentioned earlier, it was Chair Waters' idea or comment about the two different plans on our community that started this whole process of thought. And now both Colin Fujiki and I are co-sponsoring this resolution to form a committee to review both of the plans, the Primary Urban Center Development Plan and the East Honolulu Sustainable Communities Plan, to identify areas where we might be able to contribute recommendations for updating those two plans as those updating processes begin with the city and county of Honolulu. And it's really important, you know, we just recently had, I helped to organize the Symposium for Climate Resilience at the Kāhala Hotel and Resort this last September. And one of the biggest concerns we had was how do we deal with some of the issues that we have. And across all of our different roundtables, it was clear that it has to be community engaged stewardship. Our community has to be involved in everything that the city county does, that the state does, and if possible, the federal. But we have to start at the ground level, so it really will take grassroots. So I'd like to propose that we pass this resolution tonight. And if it is proposed, I would also like to invite our community members to raise your hand and to be part of the committee so that you too can join me and Colin in reviewing the two plans, because that's going to be huge. Each plan is like 300 something pages plus links to everything, and then come up with some recommendations, such as the redesign of our Wilson School traffic control system that will need some engineering to be done. So mahalo nui for the opportunity, and I'm looking forward to a positive result.
For those of you unfamiliar with Miss Aloha McGuffey, she's been an incredible community support. She has, her symposium attracted the governor, amongst many other folks who sat down for 2 days and discussed the ways that we can get involved, help take action in our community on not just small issues, but big issues as well. Some really incredible work, truly. And initially, for those of you who haven't followed the drama here at the neighborhood board, there was a vote for a similar measure that was actually opposed by Mr. Colin Fujiki, I believe. And through communication, through collaboration, they have come together to co-sponsor this bill, bring it forward. It is an incredible story. Write it down, folks. It's happening here in the Kahala Waiʻalae neighborhood board.
I'll file a motion. I enthusiastically support what Colin and Aloha have done.
I hear one in favor. Can I please get a second? Lee, all in favor, say aye. The ayes have it. Lovely.
It's okay. That's okay.
Oh,
Yep, as well.
oh. Ms. Riley?
No, that's okay. I was just wanted to commend you and thank you so much. Strong advocate for the East Honolulu Sustainable Communities Plan from my neighborhood board and through the community. I just commend you for being proactive. I'm just delighted, and if there's anything we can do on our end, Aloha knows how to reach me. So kudos to you guys. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And thank you for taking the time to show up and support this evening. We really
Of course.
appreciate our cross-board collaborations. All right. Let's see. Up next. Oh, please go right ahead.
Now that the resolution is passed, the next steps. So Colin, so Colin and I will have to get together and put together the implementation plan now on how we want to proceed with the committee. And that would include as well, Elizabeth, inviting some of the neighboring neighborhood boards to give input on the great work that you have already been doing in updating the East Honolulu Sustainable Communities Plan. And any other board members from Kaimuki or Palolo would be fantastic as well for the primary urban center plan.
Awesome.
And so we'll get back to you. I know we are recessing in December, so we'll probably need to get back to you maybe in January with some kind of a implementation plan.
I look forward to it. Marvelous. Up next, new business and presentations. Overview of the revised East Honolulu Sustainable Communities Plan. That one slipped through. All right. Discussion on the 2025 EMS service reductions in Honolulu. I received an email from a concerned citizen and ex-EMS operator who was expressing their concern at the recent reductions for EMS services in the Honolulu Center. He asked to be heard and be brought forward anonymously and have his concern noted that he believes, as somebody who was in the industry, as somebody who provided support to the variety of people that live in our neighborhoods, that these cuts in staffing and service areas are concerning and should concern each and every single one of us. So I wanted to make sure that that made the agenda this evening and that concern was heard. Up next, the liquor license request for the Sony Open Golf Tournament. Sony Open has written us requesting our support for a liquor license. The Sony Open, great tourist draw, great event, a little busy with the buses sometimes. I know that Mr. Purnell, who sometimes shows up to the neighborhood board meeting, had some issues with bus parking last time. However, do we have any concerns for the Sony Open's liquor license?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. All right. Unfortunately, we've run out of time this evening. We'll have to postpone the vote on the Shangri-La issue. No, before we jump into this, let's take a 1-minute break. Everybody just stretch real quick. This is going to be the long stretch, so let's just prepare for it and everybody take a quick stretch.
More bathrooms back there. There's only like one over there.
One of there, my quality here.
There's a lot back there. Oh, really?
Yeah. 1-minute warning until we finish our break. A 1 minute. All right. The moment is at hand. Before we get into it, due to time concerns, the gentleman who stays behind and cleans up after us and does all the seating, he is only allowed to be here until 9:30, which means that we have had to change the countdown to 1 minute. So that way, everybody should be able to speak. Everybody should be able to hear. However, we're going to ask for expediency in this issue. We are willing to stay here until 1, 2 a.m. in the morning, should it take. However, this building, unfortunately, will only take us until 9:30. So, given the constraints that we have this evening, we are going to put 1 minute on the timer. For those of you who are interested in speaking this evening and being heard, I would ask you to line up at the microphone. However, I believe the motion in question, which has been brought forward by Shangri-La, like the representative from Shangri-La to stand up to the microphone, speak, restate what you are asking for this evening, and then from there, line up behind him, and we'll hear each and every single one of you. How long is the presentation? Could we get that down to 3? Okay. All right, let's do it.
Aloha ahi ahi to you, Chair Dick Avedo and the board, and a special mahalo to Chair Waters, Chief of Staff Imanaka, and Representative Grandinetti, who's with us virtually. On behalf of the Doris Duke Foundation, I'd like to express our deep appreciation to the board, to our neighbors for your openness, your feedback, and partnership over these past 3 months. We've listened carefully and made meaningful changes to our conditional use permit requests. And they're proactive in the spirit of respect for the diverse neighbors who make up the Kupiki-Piki-O or Black Point community. What you'll hear tonight is a reduced and amended proposal from what we submitted in September, one that reflects community input and reaffirms Doris Duke's vision to create a more creative, equitable, and sustainable world for all through art and cultural experiences and important conversations in the most Pono way possible. In just the past several weeks, we've hosted leaders like Hawaii's own World Surf champion, Carissa Moore, who brought Wahine to learn about riding the waves of life's transitions, and then honored Hawaii's Teachers of the Year for their tireless support of our keiki before their formal recognition at Washington Place. And of course, we just most recently had former Prime Minister, Ambassador Kevin Rudd to the US from Australia, engage in a dialogue about the safety of the Indo-Pac region. Those are just a few examples. And with each engagement, with each gathering, we hear the same thing, that the experience at Shangri-La, the Islamic art, the aina, the feeling of the makani on one's face, the mo'olelo of the place, it all adds up to a transformative experience. It's unlike any other. That's the vision Doris Duke, our founder, imagined. Her hale, her former home, as a bridge between cultures and community, where understanding begins and inspiration grows from the 4,500 objects she brought to this one place from around the world and transformed into a museum, all while embracing Hawaiian culture as part of her own story. That's the vision. While our proposal has evolved, our purpose remains the same, to position Shangri-La as a vital arts and culture community institution while minimizing impact and honoring our neighbors and kuleana to this very special community. Again, we've listened. We are here tonight to connect and just like our grant program, build bridges with you to our neighbors. So with that, it's my pleasure to turn things over to our Maui-born and raised 16-year Shangri-La veteran, Deputy Executive Director Leah Major, who will walk through the details of our updated proposal and how it further strengthens not just our commitment to Kupiki and Kahala, but to all of Oahu and the islands, while still respecting our neighbors. Mahalo.
Hello, my name's Leah. I'm the Deputy Executive Director at Shangri-La. It's going to be a challenge to get this down, but the good news is that all of the slides that are here, all the neighbors have seen. It's a condensed version of what we presented this past Monday when the neighbors got together for the second time as a result of the last time we were here with the neighborhood board. So our motivation behind applying for this new CUP application is to really serve Hawaii and fulfill Doris Duke's vision of using art to bridge cultures and inspire dialogue in a changing world. And the logos that you see on the slides here are an example of the plethora of local partners that we collaborate with on an annual basis. So if you go to the next slide, all of these bubbles represent the different notifications that are required through DPP. You'll see those in the light blue color, as well as some of the more informal engagements that we've had with our neighbors. Those are the purple bubbles. They represent the pauhanas that we've had, inviting our neighbors to Shangri-La to discuss the work that we've been up to. And everything in the dark blue are the meetings that we've had with our neighbors since the last October 16th meeting. So the November 3rd meeting, as well as the November 17th meeting, were group meetings. And then between those dates, I conducted, along with Ben, some one-on-one and like small group conversations to get to the point where we are today. And then we're gearing up for the December 5th DPP hearing. So if you go to the next slide, these are just examples of summaries of the key conversations that we had, really to delve into some of the specifics of the modifications being proposed, as well as some of the neighbor concerns. So our responses to that and what we're committed to is really increased communication with our neighbors, a reduction in the number of meetings and attendees of those meetings at Shangri-La. We are implementing a daily cap, as well as really minimizing some of the impacts that we have within the neighborhood. We've been brainstorming a lot amongst our staff about how to make those operational adjustments. So going to the next slide, I'll skip past this one just in the interest of time to get to really, I think, what the board is most interested in, which is what are we changing from the original CUP application that was submitted. And we went back and looked, and we are really proposing to reduce the number of overall guests that we initially proposed by 53%. So you'll see these different reductions in all of the categories, as well as a reduction in the number of evening events that we were originally proposing. You'll note there we are in the smallest category, we are proposing to go up a little bit. And that just sort of emphasizes the types of gatherings that we do tend to have on site and wish to have in the future, which are smaller. And going to the next slide, and I started with evening events just because that was the main concern of our neighbors were the evening events. We're not proposing any changes to the art and culture tours. And then daytime meetings, we are making some adjustments there, especially with the larger category, with a reduction down from 175 guests to 150, and also reducing our original proposal from 12 to 4 within that expanded category. And you'll note that that does reflect a reduction in the days of the year that we would be operating, as well as visitor count. And then the one change is an extension of the daytime meetings from 5 to 6:30. And that is really to allow us to have those daytime meetings close out in an extended fashion and make sure that everyone can get off site by that 6:30 p.m. time. And if you go to the next slide, this is just a summary slide. And again, all of our neighbors have seen this, so I imagine that they will speak to it and what their reactions are. And again, to the next slide. These are some of the additional enhancements that we're proposing. So I had mentioned the daily cap earlier. So we're proposing that to be at 250. So what that equates to essentially is that when we have certain types of activity, we others. So if we are going to have one of those specials, which we're amending to 4, we would not have tours or other types of meeting groups during the day. So that would reduce some of the impacts within the neighborhood. And so just thematically, these are related to how we manage our site, also how we manage events and have dedicated personnel looking at the types of events that we're doing and event compliance, and then also related to communication and dialogue with our neighbors. We have a few ideas that we're putting on the table in terms of potentially having a liaison and also being committed to having prompt responses when issues arise. And I think that's the end of it for now. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for that concise summary. Thank you both so much. Let's just jump right into it, folks. I'm going to have everybody start lining up at the microphone. Anybody who's interested in speaking and being heard, let's go ahead and get you lined up.
Sorry, I know we're in a rush. Okay, nice to see you, board. Nice to see you again. I'm Ashley Johnson, and I want to first just thank you for giving us a forum to share our concerns. And now having spent numerous times with all of you, I do feel like this board genuinely cares about this community and our concerns. And I want to sincerely thank you for that and for postponing the vote last month. I think that showed you cared about our concerns. I think what the question, and I also think Shangri-La is a wonderful organization and does wonderful work in so many ways. And but I think the question before us is, does a commercial events venue belong in a residential neighborhood? And selling tickets to 250 paying attendees, where drinks and dinner and sunset is involved, is a commercial activity. And I just ask that you imagine if that's going in and the house next door to yours, and how you would feel about it. And also, would that belong in your residential neighborhood? We also have evidence now that just happened recently. There's a house in escrow in our neighborhood, and the buyer heard of what's happening and got really concerned and came to the meeting this past Monday with Shangri-La. And I found their concern validating that someone who's a third party, totally from the outside, thinks this is a problem and, wants to have a peaceful place to live. Okay, I'm wrapping up. But if the deal falls through or the price is negotiated down, I think that's evidence of that this is negatively impacting our neighborhood already. Yeah, and I just think 30 evening events with 250 attendees is a dramatic departure from what the will of Durstuck said. And okay, I'm wrapping up, Christian. Thank you for listening. Thank you for hearing our concerns. I respectfully and strongly request that you vote against supporting this CUP amendment and help us keep the integrity of our neighborhood. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Up next, please introduce yourself into the microphone.
Good evening. My name is Richard Lau. I've been a member, resident of Popwood Circle for over 40 years. Now, you see the percentages that you saw up there. You know, we had a lot of meetings with Shangri-La. But when you do percentage decreases, you really have to compare it against the initial existing cup. Yeah. For example, under the existing cup, you can have 7 activities at night. They came out and said, no, we want 36. That was the new cup that they proposed. 36 events, and that's a 400% increase from 7. And then
15 seconds.
After meeting with the residents, they gave us a money decrease from 36 to 30, but 30 from existing seven activities, that's 300% increase. And
please wrap it up.
And also they wanted 300 guests. I cannot imagine 300 guests at Shangri-La. They reduced it to 250. Fine. Now, how are you going to bring 250?
I'm going to have to ask you to
okay, you talking
take the next
10,
seconds to wrap up.
25 passenger vans. That's the largest van made. You know, it has 4 tires at the rear axle, 2 tires in the front axle. It's a mini bus.
I'm going to have to ask you to reel the rest of your time. Thank you so much for showing up this evening.
Am I done?
Yes, due to the interest of time. Mr. Waters is allowed to speak for as long as he would like. Absolutely. I'm going to ask the next person to begin speaking, please.
We all object to the 1-minute time limit. Okay. The neighbors appreciate the effort. My name is Bill Johnson. I live in the neighborhood. The neighbors appreciate the effort by Shangri-La to reduce their event footprint. However, the end result is the same. Too many events in a quiet residential neighborhood. Historically, if this CUP had been the Duke Foundation's original plan of operations and use of Shangri-La, it would never have been permitted and should not be permitted now or ever. Shangri-La should not be considered an event facility at all. According to Doris Duke herself, it is and will always be an Islamic art museum to be treasured and shared with the public on a limited basis. There are plenty of event facilities nearby in Waikiki. Use them. The Duke Foundation has chosen a PR person or team to be in charge of Shangri-La for the past few years.
10 seconds.
And here we are today. When public access first became available, an experienced museum director was in charge. What has happened in our neighborhood? Neighbors have become a united front in the face of adversity created by the Doris Duke Foundation's plans. And
I'm
in
going to have to
closing,
ask you to wrap it up.
and in closing, I really appreciate the neighborhood getting together to strongly oppose this CUP. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
How long was that?
Minute and a half. I have permission to increase it to 2 minutes. I know. Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. My name is Gary Johnson. I live adjacent to Shangri-La. Thank you to the Doris Duke Foundation, Shangri-La, for the outreach they've recently performed over the past few weeks. Thank you to the neighborhood board for providing this platform for residents. Unfortunately, I still strongly oppose the updated, amended conditions. Just the amount of events, 30 events in the evenings, 174 events with 50 people or more over a year, which equals a lot of sound amplification in the neighborhood. It's just not appropriate for a residential neighborhood and changes the character of our neighborhood. Shangri-La has repeatedly emphasized that the foundation has billions of dollars in endowment. With those resources, they can easily host large events in other venues across Oahu without imposing the impacts of those large events onto our quiet residential community. As a resident, it's intimidating to speak out against a powerful organization like the Doris Duke Foundation. I'm grateful for this platform. During the review of the Shangri-La CUP application, I've come across concerning things like the mayor's office submitting a letter of support for Shangri-La's application. And because the DPP ultimately reports to the mayor, this creates an obvious conflict of interest. With this board, I also have some concerns regarding conflicts of interest. According to the East West Center's Foundation's website, Mr. Turbin serves on the board of its directors. The East West Center was just shown in the slideshow. They submitted a letter of support for Shangri-La as part of the CUP application. Have previously held events at Shangri-La, including partnering on the Indo-Pacific Futures Fellowship. Additionally, the chairman also lists on his company's website, Leahi Landscaping, that they are trusted by the Doris Duke Foundation, indicating that the foundation may be a client of this company. Out of respect for the integrity of this process and to protect public confidence in the board's deliberations, I would respectfully request that both members disclose these relationships and consider recusing themselves from any votes related to Shangri-La. Thank you very much.
For full disclosure, so that I can address that head on, my company donated flowers to an event one time.
Well, I mean, I just is asking me to recuse myself, and I really take offense at that. I mean, certainly don't make a dollar doing my volunteer work for the East West Center. I was chair of the Board of Governors and spent hundreds of hours helping out the East West Center. Yes, the East West Center enjoys a partnership with Shangri-La. I mean, Shangri-La has hosted events with the Prime Minister former Prime Minister of New Zealand, and a very important commanders of the Indo-Pacific Command in Hawaii. It also hosted events bringing Palestinians and Israelis together to talk about peace. So no, I will not recuse myself, but I will speak in favor of Shangri-La and being able, and I'm also speaking in
Rich,
favor.
we're going to hold off on that until everybody
Okay.
here is heard. Thank you. Next person, please come up.
Get everyone out here early because it's freezing in here. Okay, Aloha Neighborhood Board, Shangri-La team, neighbors, and guests. My name is Stephanie Grunert. I'm here to respectfully ask this board to oppose Shangri-La's current cup minor application. Let me explain why. This isn't a simple routine cup minor request. The timeline and procedural record will show something very different. On September 23rd, 2025, Shangri-La obtained a letter of support from the mayor's office. Just 6 days later, on September 29, they filed a cup minor application. 1 day before the new land ordinances took effect on September 30th, ordinances that significantly increased scrutiny for meeting facility expansions. Under Ordinance 25-2, a medium meeting facility is defined as one serving 101 to 2,000 people. This is not a minor change, and it does not qualify for a minor permit. It belongs under a cup major track. The critical point is this. Although the application was filed on September 29th, arguably the date that controls the legal process is the DPP date of acceptance of this application, which was October 13, 2025. This is 2 weeks after the ordinance took effect. Rights and obligations vest acceptance, not upon filing. This means that the application must be processed as a cup major. Instead, DPP is conducting what appears to be a hybrid review, allowing the project to proceed under a cup minor application, but treating its timing as if it were a major, while denying the neighborhood the protections that come with the major review. No neighborhood board should be asked to support an application that is internally inconsistent, procedurally flawed, and not supported by the ordinance, especially when it places the full weight of a medium meeting facility on a residential neighborhood without the scrutiny the law requires. I respectfully ask the board to oppose the current minor application. Formally acknowledge that DPP's handling reflects a hybrid, legally inconsistent review, and urge DPP to reclassify this request as a cut major, the track required under the rules in effect on the October 13th acceptance date. This is the only path that guarantees full transparency, full findings of fact, and the full protections the law provides to neighbors and to this community. Mahalo.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Neighborhood Board. My name is Susan Fuller, and I live directly across the street from the main gate of Shangri-La. I fully support Shangri-La's broader cultural mission. However, we are here because a museum and a meeting place is a non-conforming use in a residential zone, a designation intended for the quietest and lowest impact areas. The current CUP, issued to allow limited institutional use within a residential zone, explicitly requires that the operation not alter the residential character of the surrounding area, not generate adverse traffic impacts, and not create noise, lighting, or operational disturbances inconsistent with R 7.5 zoning. The CUP proposal as it stands is in direct tension with these standards. Potential increases in event sizes and numbers, especially evening or weekend activities, will intensify non-residential patterns of use and alter the character of the neighborhood. Our neighborhood was not designed for quasi-commercial ventures, which will bring substantial traffic of passenger buses and the increase in noise levels that larger functions will produce. Although Shangri-La has amended their CUP, I am still concerned that the proposed size and number of events cannot help but have a significant impact on the neighborhood through increased traffic and sound. As such, I respectfully request that the neighborhood board prioritize our community's livability, safety, and character in its decision and not support the CUP in its current form. Thank you.
Neighborhood Board members and guests. My name is Hugh Guerrero, and I live directly across the entrance of Doris Duke Shangri-La. When our community first came to an agreement with Doris Duke's Foundation regarding the transition to a museum, it was based on a clear mutual understanding. The visitor cap 96 people. This was the maximum level of activity the surrounding residential area could safely and reasonably absorb. Every prior director honored this agreement, and it has served as a foundation of trust, the museum, and its neighbors. The recent effort to amend the 96 guest cap has caused deep concern and anxiety among neighborhood residents. Expanding operations in this manner signals a disregard for the community's long-standing efforts to coexist peacefully with the museum. Over the years, residents have made numerous concessions in good faith, allowing additional tour days, meeting days, and tolerating operational adjustments. The steady increase in traffic, service vehicles, and event-related equipment has already stretched the neighborhood's capacity. We were never designed, the roads here were never designed for buses, vendors, and staff's traffic. The neighborhood moves at a slower pace, and that is exactly what residents value. We ask that you respect that rhythm. The challenges were clear on September 30th when 7 vans arrived to pick up guests from the event. Vans, support vehicles, and staff took 2 hours to leave. During this time, multiple buses backed up, maneuvering and idling on our street, creating noticeable disruption. To preserve the peace and privacy, I have taken considerable measures at my own expense.
10 seconds.
Building rock. Okay, may I finish up, please? Okay. Imagine any neighbor coming and going from their driveway 40 times in a single evening. This does not fit with a quiet residential area. I respectfully urge Shangri-La to reconsider and to recommit to the 96 guest cap and to rebuild trust with the residents who share this neighborhood with you. Responsible stewardship requires balancing your mission with the character and the safety of our community. And one other point.
I'm going to have to ask you to wrap it up.
Okay, anyone can go on Google Earth and you can tour the whole Shangri-La grounds and interior. And
Thank you very
for
much.
your, all right, thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm just here. I've been on Papu Circle since 1955. Am I blowing everybody's ears out now?
Could you introduce yourself, please?
1955. I've known these people a long time. I believe they have a legitimate complaint, and I really think it's affecting their health. I mean, there is a lot of noise. I didn't know anything about this cup because I was not involved with the rezoning of our property. For some reason, I knew nothing about it until this all came about. But I did take the time to go around and talk to all the neighbors that adjoin the property with Shangri-La, and all of them are impacted by the noise, the traffic, the fumes, the kitchen noise. And, you know, these are the same people that welcomed Shangri-La into the neighborhood. And now after 20-something years, it's not working. So something went wrong from 2014, let's say. Is it around then? I don't know. Around then, I think. And all of a sudden, the noise became unbearable. These people are good, reasonable people, I promise you. You know, I've known the Johnsons for almost 45, 50 years, and they wouldn't be complaining if there wasn't a problem. So we need to take a close look at this, and I just urge the neighborhood board to at least listen to their testimony. I mean, really listen to it. And I don't know what set you off, but the last time we were here, before my neighbors could even explain what their problems were, you went and gave a speech to the rest of your board members and urged them to vote for this. And I think you should have shown a little bit of respect and at least listened to the neighbors' concerns, because it is troubling. It's very troubling. So I'm done. I have nothing against Shangri-La. I love them. Ben and Leah, they do a great job. They're passionate about what they want to do, but it's just too much. Yeah.
We have 6 minutes remaining before we are going to have to exit this.
Donna Chuck, and I lived on Papu Circle since 1955.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
So-
Next speaker, please.
Hi, good night, everyone. Thank you for having me. My name is Nathaniel Forbes. I'm a real estate broker, and I'm currently representing a buyer for a property on Papu Circle. And I'm here in communication with, from the seller and the seller's agent as well. So my buyers are currently 1 day away from canceling their contract because of this new discovery with what's going on with Shangri-La and the CUP, which negatively impacts the value of this actual property. So again, they're 1 day from canceling, and the sellers are pretty much upset because they're saying no, they have to discount the property because this has now materially affect the value of the property. So just to put it into context, one of the proposed statement that Shangri-La has proposed to have 250 daily cap, right? So just to put it into context, this property is at the gate, the entrance of Shangri-La. My client's backyard is actually at Shangri-La. So Imagine you're at this property, this is your property, you're having dinner, in the evening, and then there are going to be about 10 buses or 10 vans with about, up to 250 people. Shangri-La shared recently in their meeting that there's not enough capacity to have this 10 vans on the actual property. So imagine you're there in your backyard having dinner with your family and friends, and then you have 10 buses go down, right, dropping off the guests, and maybe before 7 o'clock, let's say the event starts at 7 o'clock. Before that starts, these buses are going to be out there, the amount of traffic and congestion right at the gate going down. Then they have to come back up. And then later on, when the event is over, they have to drive back down and then come back up. That's 4 times. And that actually is quite a bit nuisance. My clients are paying a significant amount of money, and seeing that now their peace and quite an enjoyment of actually owning a property,
10 seconds.
this actually devalues it. So I'd like for you guys to put yourself into context. I know that the different owners have different impacts. Some has to do with either noise pollution or light pollution. In this case, it's a significant congestion,
Please,
nuisance, and I just want you to take those things into consideration. Thank
I
you.
do
for your
have
time.
a quick question for you. The change in value in property, what did you calculate that out to be?
It's a little bit close to $500,000. And right now we're going back and forth, and I'm telling you, the seller is not happy. And neither is my client, because we just found this out like 12 days ago.
What is the total sale price?
The sales price is close to $4 million.
Okay. All right. So what is that? 16.5% reduction?
It's a significant amount. Yes.
Okay. All right.
And it's not just this one property, right? Every other property has a different impact.
Okay.
And it's on the contract. So we have like literally one day. It's like,
Okay.
it's a very stressful. Somebody mentioned something, how stressful it is on the other owners. I can imagine.
I'm sorry. We're going to have to ask that we move on to the next speaker.
Okay, sorry. Okay, sorry.
But thank you very much for having that information.
Hi, my name is Evan Kushikin. I am the Event and Partnerships Coordinator at Shangri-La. First and foremost, I just wanted to share the documents that I did share with the board, and they're also available to everybody here if they wanted to walk up and look. We do have a binder of all of our letters of support from a small pool of community partners and past participants. In addition to that, I just wanted to share, I did grow up in this district with my papa's house at Kiwana Street, going to Wilson Elementary, but as a Kanaka, pushed away as part of the diaspora who can't afford to rent or live in areas like where we are and may not ever be able to, returning back and being able to be a part of sharing Doris Duke's collection of Islamic art with so much shared history with our own Hawaiian history. The revitalization of the collection and the aina itself with our kumu, Vicky Holtakamine, it feels like it's reignited the mana of what Doris Duke intended when she became part of this aina through the Kahanamokus. Mahalo.
Thank you very much. Next speaker.
Aloha mai kākou o wau hana ka ulani o ka mamalu o wau ke kumuhula o pua ali ilima a ke po'o o Pa'i Foundation. I'm Vicky Holt Takamine. I'm a kumuhula. I teach hula. I'm the executive director of Pa'i Foundation, and I'm so happy to be a cultural advisor for Shangri-La. Part of this is because I have asked for an increase. Every time I ask them to host something for me, we're not available. We can't do it. We are we are limited to the number of people that I have. I'm also a Doris, the 2025 Hongwanji Living Treasure. I'm also the recipient of the Lillian and Dorothy Gish Prize Award. I'm nationally recognized as a kumu, and I have the opportunity to host major artists, national and international. I'm hosting the Black Grace from Aotearoa. It's a national, international dance organization. And I've asked Shangri-La if we could possibly host them at Shangri-La. And, so this request is coming from me, a Native Hawaiian that lives in this community that has never had that opportunity to visit Shangri-La. I have family and friends. So when I asked on Maui fires, I said, can we please hold a fundraiser for the Maui people? And I asked Robert Casimiro and Kuana Torres Kahele to do a concert at Shangri-La to raise $50,000 to send to Maui. And they agreed. We held an intimate concert there. Some of you may have been there.
10 seconds.
Intimate so that you're not sitting at the Hawaii Theater at 1,100 people. You're sitting in and among these artists that I can bring to you, to this community. And you're lucky because you
apologize. I have to
often
ask you to
get
wrap
the
it up.
first, I'm almost Paul. You often get the first invitation to attend these events. So, you know, you folks have this privilege of living in this exclusive neighborhood. I grew up a block away from the Bishop Museum. I know what it's like. Bishop Museum has thousands of guests that visit, and I loved it. I loved going there.
I
It was
apologize. I have
open.
to ask you to wrap
It was
it up.
open to the community. Open this museum up to the community. And that's what I'm asking for. As a Native Hawaiian whose ancestral homeland this is, that you all have the privilege to live on. And $4 million for that house, that lot, I can't afford. I'm sitting in here and listening to all of you. It's all about privilege. That's the part that really, it's about privilege. It's about privilege. You want the privilege. Yes.
I'm sorry. I have to ask you. Thank you very much.
Aloha, my name is Pat Murphy. I live across the circle from Shangri-La with my lovely friend and roommate, Donna Chuck, who's been their family is original owners, 1955. When Shangri-La first got approval to run their tour business in our neighborhood, there were very few disruptions. Then it seems whenever they changed management, the cup violations got more frequent. Bigger problems started when Conrad Ng was hired to run the business. He wanted to demolish Doris Duke's harbor because people that were swimming and having fun down there were bothered his functions that took place above on the lawn. Taking our neighbors on a 2-year fight with endless meetings and correspondence. Since he couldn't demolish the harbor, a metal fence was erected right at the water's edge. Instead of earth tone colors, they painted it rainbow colors. Now, with the different management of the tour business, our neighbors have been hit with an additional expansive cup proposal. They have trouble with complying with the existing cup. The additional cup would increase 3 or 4 times the number of customers traveling through our residential neighborhood. Zoning regulations are there for good reason. If you allow exceptions to residential zoning due to extreme wealth and political connections, our neighbors suffer frequently. I think going forward, the foundation should, 1, cancel the second cup
10
application.
seconds.
2, remove the rainbow fence. And 3, keep existing cup on a trial basis for 1 year. Basically, take Shangri-La back to
Please
how
wrap
it
it up.
was when Doris Duke lived there before the foundation started a tour business. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else who has not yet spoken here who wishes to be heard? Mr. Fong online, you have 2 minutes on the clock once you start speaking, please.
Oh, thank you. I'm a local boy. Grew up in Kaimaki, St. Louis Heights. I'm lucky to live in this neighborhood the last many years. Cut down right to the bottom line. If you had a neighbor that had an event party with 150 to 250 people once a month for a year, which is what this is also proposing, you'd say, brother, that's enough. That's enough. That's too much. Whether you live in Kaimaki, Kahala, or Mokulea, too much. You wouldn't want somebody having a party in the evening. That's all I have to say.
Thank you very much for your concise words. John White, you have 2 minutes on the clock.
Hi, my name is John White, a Papu Circle resident and organizer of the Kahala Diamond Head Neighborhood Security Watch. As I stated at the last neighborhood board meeting, I support Shangri-La's CUP modification request, along with 15 and a half other Papu Circle households who took the time to respond to my email regarding the proposal. I also attended the community information meeting hosted by Shangri-La this week, where I heard neighbors' concerns about increased traffic and visitors. In response, I believe Shangri-La's management when they say they will do their best to mitigate negative impacts and respond promptly to any concerns. Since 2018, when the Neighborhood Security Watch started, I've received scores of complaints from members on non-crime issues. However, not once did I receive or hear of a complaint regarding Shangri-La. I firmly believe that the additional visitors to Shangri-La will be well behaved, well supervised, transported by shuttle, and managed on scheduled times. This will not result in unwanted foot traffic, additional private vehicles, or public street parking. Even on the busiest days, the guests will be on the property spanning nearly 5 acres. Mahalo.
Thank you. Is there anybody else online who's not yet been heard who wishes to be heard? Please raise your hand. All right. I believe we've all been heard. Everybody who wishes to speak has spoken. Obviously, this is a very contentious issue. Board members, are you ready?
May I say something, Mr. President?
Mr. Dudgeon.
I think if you call for a vote now, you're going to piss everybody off.
Afraid if we delay, they might hang me in the parking lot.
Well, somebody might. I think it's too early to vote. There's not a good compromise in sight. The residents will be happy forever. The Doris Duke people won't be happy. And I think it's ill-advised for us to take a rushed vote with minimum conversation from the residents. I would advise against it. Apologies for going against the grain of some of my fellow board members. Thank you.
That's your wish. You can bring it to a vote. Somebody else will have to second it, and then we can vote on that motion. If you'd like, Peter.
Oh, I'm not in charge. I'm just expressing my opinion like everybody else.
If you'd like to delay the vote, you can bring it up, and then somebody else can second it.
I would very much like to delay the vote, however unpleasant that is to some people, in hopes for a better solution. And I'll propose that to the board.
Second Peter's motion.
I'd like to second it, but I'd like to explain as well that I'd like to, I recognize that Ben and his team have really done a great job in meeting with the people and collaborating and committing to the lower numbers. I think that's great. But I still feel that there are some more conversation that needs to happen, and wondered if you might be willing to take on more meetings just to and see if there might be some way of lowering that number, because to go from 95 cap to or 96 cap to 250, that's a big jump, and maybe a little less might be more appropriate for them if possible. I mean, I don't know. Let me just ask these people here who spoke up. How do you feel? Do you think that you'd be able to compromise and move forward with a lesser number? Just raise your hand if you think you might be able to compromise. So you're saying, if you're saying you're not going to compromise, then now you're really asking for the vote now, and that might not be a good thing.
Is somebody willing to bring the vote forward then?
Well, I just want to say,
I know I was misquoted because the last meeting, I urged the groups to get together and come to some compromise. And I know that you have gotten together and, a compromise obviously was not reached, but there's never a settlement. I've learned in, the dozens of years that I've been a lawyer, there's never a settlement until a minute before the settlement has arrived. And everybody is very happy when these contentious issues get resolved. I speak to them, 6 months, a year later, they say, thank God we arrived at a settlement. Now, I said what I did say the last meeting, and I agree with it. I feel strongly about it now. So when I think about Shangri-La, I think about how Shangri-La can help our children and our grandchildren stay in Hawaii, how it can help maintain Hawaii and increase Hawaii as the linchpin of the Pacific and Asia. We are really the gathering place. Oahu is the gathering place. It's not the gathering place just for Hawaii. It's a gathering place for all of the Pacific and Asia. That's why we have East-West Center here, University of Hawaii. Over the decades, I have seen Hawaii's, prestige and importance in the area decrease because of parochialism, which is a bad thing. I've seen our children and our grandchildren leave because Hawaii has not lived up to
10 seconds.
its potential. I urge you, when I agree with Peter, I don't think we should vote tonight, but I'd urge you, really try to get together and come up with a compromise that will assist both the neighborhood and Shangri-La and the state of Hawaii.
Rich, I'm going to have to ask you to wrap it up.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Okay. Peter, you brought forth a vote to postpone the vote. Does anybody second Peter's to postpone the vote? All in favor of postponing the vote, say aye. All opposed? All abstain? All right, the vote is 1, 2. Brian, which way was your vote?
Postpone.
Vote.
In favor of postponement?
Fuck.
Mr. Fong, I'm going to ask you to mute your computer and abstain from any foul language on the internet, please and thank you.
I apologize. I didn't know I was not muted.
That's
but I
all
say
right.
vote already.
We appreciate the emotions of the moment. Okay. Passes. So the vote to postpone the vote passes. We will bring this issue forward at the next neighborhood board meeting. We do not have a neighborhood board meeting in December. We will be meeting in January. That will be the next time that this board hears on this issue and discusses it moving forward. To everybody who showed up tonight, thank you for participating in your neighborhood's politics and the things that affect you in your daily life. We appreciate you all for showing up. I'm going to quickly wrap up. 2025 Honolulu Marathon Traffic Advisory. The marathon is coming. They will be blocking off roads. It's the same as it has always been for the past 52 years. NCO and Toys for Tots Toy Drive. If you are interested in donating toys, please bring them forward. We will be taking them tonight. The Neighborhood Kāhala Board will recess for December 2025. Our next regular meeting will be Thursday, January 15th, 2026. Alawai Golf Club Course House.
You guys could please be respectful and wait for us to finish our meeting. This is pretty, you guys would expect respect from a vote and for us to vote for you. this level of disrespect is pretty appalling. Just to let you know.
Thank you, Colin. Adjournment. All done. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being involved. We appreciate you taking the time.